What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the video. So today is going to be the first lesson of the Python basic Python. So we're going to go through the basics of Python, starting with the very first, the normal print hello world. So, but before we go into the practical, I want us to go through just a little bit of theory before we go into some coding, because to be honest, that's how I learned, and that's how that's the best way I learn things. I like to go through the theory first before going through the practical of things. So I feel that it will be able to help in your understanding. Guys, I see a lot of videos where people just go straight into coding. That's good and fine, but my way is theory first, then we do practical later. So first thing today, we're just going to go to, I'll try to be as brief as possible so we can jump into coding. I'm pretty sure you guys want to do that as soon as possible, so I'll try to be as brief as possible. So today we're going to go through your very first program. We're just going to talk about print. So the print function, that's what we're going to talk about. So just to go straight forward into things. So the word print. So the word print in this context is a function name, right? A function in Python programming context is something that is able to cause some effect, meaning, for example, send a text to a terminal or draw an image, or like to evaluate a value. So that's to maybe you get a result from a return as the function's value. So this part will go into it when we go deep into functions, but for now we're just going to go through the simple things. So we're going to start with just a simple print. So where are functions from? Yeah. So functions are like add-ons called modules. Some modules come with Python, so some are built in. So we just start, when you start using the Python programming languages, there's some functions already there that you can use, and there's some that you have to like install on your own. So there are other add-ons that you have to install individually, and also there's the one that you have to make your own function. So we'll also do that in the future, so stay with me. Then so print function. So let's start with the simple, basic print hello world. So important things to take note. So you notice that there's a print, obviously, there's parentheses, and there's the hello world, right? So I'm just going to bring out this hello world first. So hello world, like this, in this context, is what you call a string. When we go into data types, we'll talk more of strings, but just keep in mind first, this is what you call a string, because it's called a string because it's in this quotation marks. That is why it's called a string. Even if I put, for example, if I put this same thing, if I put a number 2 like this, right, and I put this, normally this is a number without the quotation, but when there's a quotation mark around it, it becomes a string. So this is what we call data, right? So it's a data type, which is a string. So we'll go into that later on, but I just want to be quick so that we can go into the coding aspect. Now, in this print hello world, right? Whenever you run a code with print hello world, whatever is in the parentheses, right, is what would be displayed to the screen, right? It's going to be displayed to the screen. That is just a function. That is what this is doing here. It's just going to display hello world to your screen. It's not doing any other thing, right? Just going to display to your screen, and this is what you call, this is not code. This is what you call data, right? So whenever you run this, right, this is what displays on your screen, hello world. Another thing to take note of is that this print, right, also, if you do a print with single quotation marks, hello world is the same thing. This and this are literally the same thing, right? So you can decide to use double quotation marks or you can decide to use single quotation marks, whatever you want. There's no particular type. You can use both. If you want to use this, fine. If you want to use this, fine. Just something to take note of. It's not really that important, right? So another important aspect or component you should take note of the print function, right? So this is like a general thing for function, but focusing on print function right now, there's what you call arguments. Arguments. Print. Now, when we put this hello world in the parentheses, this is what you call an argument, right? This is an argument that is placed in the function. That is another important aspect or concept that you should understand. Arguments. Just like how you have your math function. If you did math, you know that I'm pretty sure many of us did math. If you did math, you know that there's like when you have the cosine or sine, then you have in the brackets y or sine x. So this is like the same concept, right? But in the case of using functions in Python, you can actually have multiple arguments. So right now we are having one argument, right? One argument, because this is a string, which makes it one argument in the print function. So Python functions, like I said, can have multiple arguments in your parentheses. So I can have a string here, I can have another data type here. We'll go into data types and you will understand more. We'll have another data type here, another data type, right? So we have multiple arguments in the print function. So depending on your use case, so for example, if you make your own functions, which we'll go into after, you will see that how we can use multiple arguments for our own particular use case. This is just like a standard conversion in Python. Okay, so we're just going to do a brief dive into functions. So we're going to use the print function as a use case. So the print, right? Print, it has the print, right? With parentheses and arguments. I'm just going to use the same hello world here for simplicity, right? So this whole thing here makes up a function, what's it called? A function invocation. Don't worry about if you're still confused right now. When we go deep into it, you understand it more. So this is just the first lesson. So we'll go deeper later on, which would make everything like more understandable. So what happens? Just want to explain what happens when Python encounters an invocation. So Python checks, right? It checks if the name, that's this name here. This is the name. It checks if the name of the function is legal. Legal meaning, is it in the internal data ecosystem? For example, is it part of Python's ecosystem, or is it part of your own code? Like the code that you wrote. So is it your own function that you made, or is it part of Python? So that's what it means by it checks for the name if it's legal. So if it doesn't find a print, right, in the Python ecosystem, it doesn't find a print in your, like you made your own print function, right, and it doesn't find it, right, this is going to cause an error, right? So that is one thing to keep keep in mind, I'm just going to just do a small thing here. I'm just going to say function name, right? Then in here, argument or arguments inside. So I'm just writing this here so that you can see exactly how so this is like the syntax of it. So you have the function name, which is the print, and you have the arguments here. So secondly, right, Python inspects the function's requirements for the number of arguments that we allow the function to invoke. So for example, here we have one argument, right? So if you go and call this function, or you run this code, and there is no argument because print, let's say you make a function that requires an argument, and it sees that you didn't put any arguments when you call the function, or you put more than what it's supposed to be, or more than what is required. Maybe if print or a function you made yourself requires just one or two arguments and you put three, or you put one, that also causes an error as well. So that is another thing that can happen when Python encounters an invocation. So next thing that happens, right, is that, so for that moment, when Python encounters your function, right, for example, the print function, and everything's okay, the print function, it exists, the name, the arguments is right, the required arguments are being input in, then Python leaves your code for just a moment, right, and jumps into the invoked, right? So you created, don't worry, we'll get into it later on. So if you created a function, right, and you call it somewhere in your code, so Python leaves the code and jumps into that function that you called, right? It jumps into that function and does whatever it's supposed to do, like whatever thing you did. Maybe you did an addition or plus or some summation or some whatever magic you did in that function, right? So Python will jump into the function, do the magic of everything, and return the results. Return the resulting value. So it's to execute, do everything it's supposed to do, finish the task, then come back to the line of where that that function is, and so that particular place, before it continues to the next line of code. So that is basically what happens when a function is being invoked. So just for this brief part, there's going to be I'm going to put something like this in the description, and hopefully you can go through it, because there's also some practice that you can practice, and just familiarize yourself with the Python, just the beginning or the basics of Python. Continuing with the print function, right? So there are three essential questions that need to be answered about the print function. Number one, what effect does the print function actually cause? It accepts arguments. We've seen that it accepts what? One, accepts arguments. We see print hello world, which is the argument in this case. Print hello world. That's one. Two, it converts them into human readable format if necessary. So whenever you run this, you get an output like, say, the same hello world, because you're just printing. So this has been converted to real readable format, a human readable format. So three, right? So it returns data as output to the terminal. So like I said, this is what is going to be, it's just going to display on your screen. Simple thing, use a print function just to display data on your screen, right? Now, second question, what are the arguments expected by the print function? So the print function can accept a variety of arguments, right? So you see here, it accepts a string, right? So it can accept a logical value, it can accept characters, objects, and so on. So we'll go into that in data types. So thirdly, what values is returned by the print function? So So it doesn't actually return a value. Like I've said before, it just displays to the screen. So that's it. It's not returning anybody, it only just displays to the screen. Because print function, it is something that is already built in Python, and the job is just to display on your screen. Okay, so let's jump into escape and newline characters. So the word escape, right, means characters of string escape for a short time, right? So just like we have, let's go to the same print hello world again. Hello, right? Now, I'm going to do something here. The escape, right, has a particular character, or should I say, I don't know what to say for this, but it looks, this is simply a backslash, right? A backslash means that it's trying to escape something, right? So this backslash is telling Python that, look, after this hello, there's something that is going to happen here. So there's a special inclusion, right? There's a special inclusion that's after this backslash. So that is the escape. It's just saying, oh, it's just making an announcement saying, oh, the next character, it means something different. It's not the same thing. Then, when you put something like n here, right? You have a backslash, then you have n. This now becomes a new line. So we have the hello, the escape, and the n in front of the escape, which now becomes a new line, right? And that means it's telling Python, oh, after this hello, after hello, after the hello, there's a backslash telling Python there's something here that's going to happen. And what is going to happen is that we are going to create a new line after hello. So if I put this and I put hello world here, you'll get something instead of this, instead of this hello world we've been getting. This is not more on the same line, because we have told Python that, look, I want you to create a new line. So this creates a new line, and this comes here instead. I think we had this here before. Yeah, so this becomes this, right? Because we're telling Python that there's a new line after hello. Okay, so now we're going to talk about using multiple arguments. So we've been using one argument for our print function. Now we're going to see how print function behaves with multiple arguments. So if we're going to use the same print on, let's make a change. I am the best. So notice here I said print I, right, with my quotation. Then before I do the next thing, I put a comma here, right? Before I put the next thing, which is I am. Then again, after am, I put a comma here again, the. Then after the, I put a comma, best. So before I say how many arguments, right? How many arguments do you think there are here? Just think, put in the comment section. So I am. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means this particular print function has 4 arguments. Also, I'd like you to take a guess of how this is going to be in the outputs on your terminal. So put in the comment section. So when I run this, I have I am the best. Can I say I'm the best? Just kidding. So I am the best, right? And you see it's separated by space. There's I, there's a space here, am, there's a space here, the, a space here, and you have your best. So this is how we use multiple arguments in the print function. So by now you should have an idea of how the how Python's print function works. So we're just going to go a bit deeper now and talk about the positional way of passing arguments. So the positional way of passing arguments is that, okay, it's the way you already know, the way that I've already explained to you. Simple when you have multiple arguments, right? So if I say same thing, print, or let's use something different. Let's create my let's say my name is, right? Then we have, and we go next. My name is, so we're using multiple arguments now. So my name is Psycho, right? Then I print again, Joe Psycho. I don't need to tell you what this is going to be, right? You already know by now. So my name is Psycho, Joe Psycho. Yeah, I'm just trying to say something like, you know, my name is Bond, James Bond. So in this case, right, we know multiple arguments, first argument, second argument, this one has only one argument, right? So positional way, meaning, like, this obviously would come out first before the cycle. So we're going to simply have my name is Psycho. So because it's positional, the first one will always come first, the second will always come second, the third one will always come third, like that, right? So my name is first came, my name is Psycho. Then I go next line, Joe Psycho. Simple, right? So that is the positional way, right? Positional way of passing arguments. Simple as that. Okay, so we've talked about the positional way of passing arguments. Now we're going to talk about the keyword arguments. So this differs from the positional arguments, right? In our print function, there are two keyword arguments that you should take note of. There's the end and there's the sep. The end and there's the sep. So let's take end. End. Right? There are specific rules that you must know about the end. So the end, you must know to use the end. Sorry, my mistake. So to use a keyword argument, you should take note of that. There's one, an equal symbol, right? Two, there's the keyword itself that you are going to use. In this case, the end, right? And three, there's the value of the argument. So there's the end, right? So three things you should take it off. So you're going to use the equal symbol. To use this end, you have to take note of the equal symbol, the keyword itself, which is the end, and there's the value of the argument. Another thing you should take note of when using keyword arguments, right? That the keyword arguments will always be the last. It will always be the last in whenever you're putting your arguments in your function. In this case, the print function, the end is going to be the last argument in the print function. Keep that in mind, because Me too, when I was learning, I made the same mistake of putting the keywords first, and I was thinking, oh, what's going on? There's a lot of errors, but it happens. But just take note that whenever you're using the keyword argument, right? If you're using positional arguments and keyword arguments at the same time, so you first put your positional arguments, then at the end of your of when you're putting your arguments, you put the keyword arguments. In this case, the end. Okay, so let's take example for the end, right? So print my name is Psycho, right? Then, so I've put what? First positional argument, second positional argument, right? And now comes the keyword argument. So what are the things that we said we need? We need the equal symbol, the keyword, and this keyword should come here. We have my name is Psycho, then comes the keyword argument, which is now, so our keyword argument, our equal symbol, and the value of the argument, right? So in this case, we are going to use just, let's say quotation marks with space. Quotation marks with space. So notice, my name is first position argument, second position argument, keyword argument with the end, equal symbol, and value of the argument, which is the quotation mark. What I put there is just quotation marks with space. There's a space in between, just one space, right? Then just put something else here, and I say same thing I've said before, Joe Psycho. Now this, right? I'm just gonna take it slow. So this is what's gonna happen. Normally, what's our print doing? It's gonna display, right? So we have my name is, right? Psycho. Now, I've put this one, right? My name is. I've put my first positional, second positional. What's next? Our end. Now this is what the end does. Because there's an end, remember, whenever we're printing, it prints line by line. But in this case, we've made a change to the first print function, right? The first one, we've made a change to the first line of code that says, in the end, right? In the end, don't go to the next line. In the end, just create a space. Just put a space there. That is what the end is doing. So we're saying at the end of, when you get to the last argument, right? Before you get to the next line of code, do this. Do this thing here. Whatever is there. It can be anything you want. But in this case, we're using space. So that means space. So do a space here. That means it's not going to the next line. That means the next thing is going to be, my name is Joe Psycho, from end, Joe Psycho. There's a full stop here, there's a full stop here. That's a full stop, right? My name is Psycho. Because this at the end says, give me a space. Give me a space here. Using this end, at the end of the print function, give me a space. And you see here, the space was made before going to the next one. So that means, give me a space and do the next thing. It might be a bit confusing, right? So to clear things up, right? The default value, right, for print. The default. That's if we don't put an end here. So the normal thing we've been doing, I say print my name is, right? Psycho. In case you're wondering, right? Psycho means best in Japanese language. So when I say Joe Psycho, I mean Joe the best. So now, if I do a print just like this, only, right? The default that comes with Python itself, I haven't made any change because I haven't done anything. The default that comes with Python itself is this. Now, remember what you said before about new line. What is new line? It takes it to the next line. It takes your outputs to the next line. Remember what you said about backslash escape character and the n, which now makes it a new line? That is the default value. That means if I don't do anything to this print, if I don't do anything to this print, this is what happens. This is what happens here. Automatically. This is what happens. So I clean this off, right? The default value is this. But here I made a change. I changed it to this. That means, oh, electricity. Oh, this is a normal thing here. So apologies. This is Nigeria. It happens a lot. So I just hope you can see. So my name is Psycho Joe Psycho. Right? So because it's a default value is the n, new line, it says our answer would be my name is Psycho. Then it comes to the next line because the default, remember the default is new line. The default of the print is new line, which is now Joe Psycho here. I wanted to say Joe Psycho no, because Joe Psycho no is when you say Joe the best, but it's just I just shortened it to Psycho. So, but don't worry about that. Use your own name when you're doing your own. So, my name is Psycho Joe Psycho. But in this case, I made a change to the end, which I don't want the default value of Python. I don't want what Python gives to me. I throw it away. I want my own, which is now give me, instead of a new line, I want you to just create a space which does this. So the keyword argument now we're going to be talking about now is sep. Now, probably you might guess what sep means, which means separate, right? So separator. So this keyword argument serves as a separator for the print function. So what separates the print function? So we know that normally when we use the print function, right? When we use our normal print function, and we say what did we say before? I am the best. That's what we said before, right? So when we use this, when we print to the terminal, we have I am. So you see am, that means it is separated by space. So the default separator for print is space. I am space the best. Now that is the default separator. Now we take the same thing right now. We take the same thing and we come here again and we say print I am the best. What did we say about keyword arguments? We said that whenever we use keyword arguments, it's going to be the last thing in our function. So it's going to be last argument. So we have the positional. So first, second, third, fourth. Then it's going to be the last thing, which we now have sep, which is now. Now, I've decided that I don't want space. I want something else to separate. So sep, and I put something like this, right? What's it called? A dash, right? And hyphen, yeah. So I don't want these words to be separated by space anymore. I want them to be separated by a hyphen. Now in this case, so what do we have here? This was separated by space. Let me remove this so that it doesn't confuse you guys. So separated by space, 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 space. Now here we're going to be separated by hyphen. So right now we have I first positional, hyphen, am second positional, third position, the fourth positional, best, I am the best. So this is what we have now because we have the I hyphen am hyphen the hyphen best, right? Just put a post up here and post up here and that's it. So now we are using the hyphen to separate our arguments in the print function. Okay, so we've talked about the two main arguments, keyword arguments for print, which is the sep and the end. Now we've seen how we use it separately. We saw how we use end, we saw how we use sep. Now let's see how we can use them together. So let's take an example of what we've been doing where we have print, right? My first positional argument, name. Second positional argument is. Third positional argument. Then we put a separate here, right? So what do we want to separate with? Let's use, before we use that hyphen, let's use an underscore. Then let's end with maybe a star or something like that, right? Then I think, yeah, let's just use this. So before I write anything, what do you think is going to happen here? Right? Put in the comment section. So what we have, so we've used up and we've used n, right? So if I'm to print this, what do you think I'm going to have? I'm going to have my first positional, name, second positional, but don't forget, we are separated by what? Underscore. So right now we have my underscore, name, underscore, is, right? Then we have an end. That means, forgot to put the second print. My name is Joe. Psycho. Joe Psycho. Then let's put another separate, and let's separate with a star this time here, and let's end with a star on a new line. That's funny, right? Let's end with a star, then a new line. No need for that because there's nothing at the end. Next line. I say let's just use a star, right? But you get what I mean. So we have the first positional, then we are separated by underscore, name is all separated by underscore, right? Now the end is what? It's not a new line, it's a star. So we have a star, then we continue with Joe. Don't forget, in this next one, we're separated by a star. Separated by star, psycho, right? Then we have a full stop, then it ends with a star, right? So we have a star at the end. So my name is separated by underscore, ends with a star, then Joe continues, psycho separated by a star, then we have our end, which ends with a star as well. So that is how you can mix the keyword arguments. Yeah. So I think that's it for now. This is just the simplified things of print, right? So we've done a lot here, but we'll go deeper into it in the actual practical session. And I've also, like I said, I'm going to drop this in the description, and you can also read, because there's much more here, and there's also practice exercises that you can use to familiarize yourself with the basics of Python. All right, so that's it, and move on to the practical session. I know that's what you guys are waiting for, so let's get into it.